Now we head to New Jersey, where today the Assembly passed a bill that would legalize physician-assisted suicide. The death with dignity debate was once again catapulted into the national spotlight after Brittany Maynard. You remember her, young woman from Oregon who chose to end her own life after battling a terminal illness. FIOS 1's Leigh Scheps reports from Trenton.
Diagnosed with prostate cancer, Tom Martin from Atlantic County doesn't know when his time may be up.
I've got a certain period of time life expectancy because it's the third time back.
Which is why he's a big supporter of the assisted suicide bill now picking up steam in Trenton.
Yeah, I was diagnosed with cancer.
It comes 2 weeks after Brittany Maynard, a 29-year-old with deadly brain cancer, chose to end her life in Oregon by taking advantage of the state's death by dignity law. The bill, which passed in New Jersey's Assembly Thursday, allows terminally ill patients to request life-ending drugs.
How we can be 100% certain that when a person with a terminal disease really will die within that 6 months.
At a press conference at the state capitol, doctors who opposed the controversial bill called it bad medicine for the Garden State.
This isn't about giving patients the right to die. Suicide's not illegal in this state. It's about giving doctors the right to kill.
Instead of a pill to end life, David Stevens, a family practitioner, says we need to focus on better pain management.
We need to not get rid of burdensome patients. We need to get rid of burdensome symptoms when patients are dealing with the end of life.
As for Tom, he says if it comes to it, he would take advantage of the lethal drug.
It gives people the right to die the way they want to die, and I will take advantage of that if and when the time is right.
A companion bill remains stalled in the Senate. Now, Governor Chris Christie has made it clear that he opposes this bill, which would need his signature before it could become a law. In Trenton, Leigh Scheps, FIOS 1 News.
Now, while the bill would make it legal for patients to request to end their lives, the measure would also require that a second doctor certify the original terminal diagnosis and confirm that the patient is capable of making the decision on their own and without pressure from others like friends or family members. And currently, physician-assisted suicide is legal in the states of Oregon, Washington, Vermont, and New Mexico. There's a political aspect to this. I guess we'll talk about it in a second, but from just a personal standpoint, this is one of those issues I see so many people conflicted about. Personally, I think there is such a thing, if managed correctly, that you can have death with dignity. I understand, though, the objections on the other side, either playing God here or one of these things where you can't reverse it if someone, had to change a heart or whatever. How do you feel?
Well, it's easy to listen to both sides with sympathy and respect, but in the end, the guy who says it's about pain management is leaving out whole categories of people whose illnesses and symptoms are not pain-based. The real issue here is not so much this as it is what happens if this system gets abused. I think people would mostly agree that a rational system in a particular case makes sense, but other cultures, Nazi Germany, used the same rhetoric for untoward purposes.
It is in place in 4 different states, Bill, and I've looked at the statutes and now the laws. There are enough safeguards here where you're not going to find some rogue doctor that's going to make some diagnosis and just push the thing through. There's so many check and balances. The person has to be of sound mind and has to make that decision and then reaffirm that decision. It seems to me that people can oppose this, but I don't think on the grounds that this is some willy-nilly process.
Yeah, I think as in the clip it was said, anybody can commit suicide in New Jersey if they so wish. That's going to happen anyway. People kill themselves all the time. It happens. The danger here is truly the slippery slope on this one, where it could become a societal norm for people to end their lives for a number of reasons, including financial reasons for their families going down the line. This could be a really bad slope over time.
I don't see how, though. I don't see how, where it's clearly defined, the thresholds that have to be met. There has to be a terminal disease. It has to be established that there's less than 6 months.
It's the marijuana argument. It's not so much that marijuana is bad, it leads to other things. I don't buy that with marijuana. With this, in the end, I don't buy it either, but it's not a trivial
How do you feel?
Slippery slope, I would agree with my colleagues on the other side of the table, but I strongly feel for medical reasons. If there's no other alternative to saving one's life, and all you're going to do is have a life of misery, and you're of sound mind, and you decide ultimately, and possibly with a second medical opinion, that you want to take your life, I think you should have that option. I think most reasonable people would agree with that. Why would you want someone to suffer if they're tired and they have given up on an emotional level and they just don't want to do it anymore?
Because that's the wrong case.
Hypocritical.
Because if that's all it is, they're emotionally spent.
No, I set up if the medical
Yeah.
reasons.
As long as they're all there. See,
Right.
this is the heart of the problem. If you define the specific hard case, everyone agrees. Once you set up a system, everyone's worried about the loopholes.
There also is a practical argument where into the void, where this isn't established, you have not so much the Kevorkians, but you talk to anybody in the medical field, that there are things that go on for terminal patients where they're basically allowed to die or over-medicated in certain cases. Do you really want people terminal where their families are participating with them to end their lives here? This should be done with medical oversight. There should be a professionalism attached to this. I understand if we don't do it, but let's also not pretend like this magically, if you don't have it, it doesn't happen also. I don't think we're comfortable with that. But from a practical level in the state of New Jersey, the governor clearly has said he will not sign this. I don't think there's a vote here for the override, even if it gets through the New Jersey State Senate here. So this was more of a theoretical conversation in New Jersey than I think will be a practical one. Now, when we come back after the break, a few issues we're going to jump into, including a New York attorney who has stepped down from his post with the New York City Bar Association after making what I think only can be described as racist remarks against a candidate for lieutenant governor on election night. And our friend Bill O'Reilly was the first to call him out on it. We'll have more on that story and others in our Talk at the Table segment.